Good evening, I am Ansumana Isonyasi, and this is QTV Nightly News coming to you from our studios on Caraba Avenue. Thanks for joining us. Here are the main news headlines. A budget estimate of $34.93 billion for 2024 fiscal year was tabled by the Minister of Finance and Economic Affairs, C.D. Keita, before the National Assembly today. The OIC Secretariat gave an update today on the postponement of the OIC Summit from December 2023 to May 2024. At a roundtable donor conference on Thursday, the chairperson of the National Human Rights Commission, Emmanuel Daniel Juve, revealed that in the next 2 years, the Commission will place greater emphasis on new emerging rights issues in the Gambia. World Prematurity Day was commemorated on Friday by the Department of Pediatrics and Child Health at the Edward Francis Small Teaching Hospital in Banjul. And in sports news, a Gambian cyclist, Usman Jane, has lamented the difficulties cyclists in the country face, which prevent them from competing in sub-regional events. Stay tuned as we bring you more on these and other stories. And we now take a look at the news in detail. On Friday, the Gambia's Minister for Finance and Economic Affairs, C.D. Keita, tabled before lawmakers a budget estimate of $34.93 billion for the 2024 fiscal year, representing a growth of 5% compared to the 2023 budget of $33.22 billion. As Alucisia reports, lawmakers are expected to thoroughly scrutinize the estimated budget before approval.
It is a constitutional requirement that the country's Minister of Finance and Economic Affairs comes to the Parliament to present before these lawmakers the estimates of revenue and expenditure of the government of the Gambia on behalf of the Gambian people for the fiscal year 1st January to 31st December 2024. Laying the budget estimates at the start of the Parliament's fourth and final ordinary session in the 2023 legislative year, also known as the budget session, Finance and Economic Affairs Minister C.D. Keita said the 2024 budget is anchored on the reduction of overall fiscal deficit, including the gradual reduction of net domestic borrowings as a percentage of GDP over the medium term. For this reason, he told the lawmakers that the ministry intends to pursue rationalization of expenditure, improve domestic revenue mobilization, and employ innovative non-debt revenue creating initiatives such as the asset recycling program, restructuring the debt profile to reduce the burden of debt, and focus on constitutional financing of infrastructure projects identified in the Green Recovery Focused National Development Plan. According to the minister, growth continues to remain strong despite global and domestic challenges. On the macroeconomic front, Minister Keita told deputies that the provisional data estimate shows that real gross domestic product GDP growth for 2024 is projected at 4.9%, lower than the 5.3% recorded in 2021, when recovery from the pandemic was underway, but slightly higher than 2023.
Total revenue and grants for 2024 budget is projected to reach $34.93 billion, representing a growth of 5 percentage points compared to 2023 budget of $33.22.
Tax revenue is expected to increase by 24% due to improvements in economic performance and enhancements in tax administration through digitalization and compliance. Non-tax revenue is expected to increase by 86% due to partial anticipated receipts of $10 million from an arbitration award and the payment of the first tranche of $15 million from the Trans-Gambia Asset Recycling Program. However, an additional $500 million has been factored to cater for more revenues from non-tax revenue to reflect the enhanced domestic resource mobilization drive. Minister Keita believes it is time for the revenue base to expand to reflect self-reliance for our national development instead of relying on donor partner support.
The 2024 budget will factor budget support to the tune of $3.18 billion from our development partners compared to $2.77 billion in 2023. And the bulk of this support are expected to come from the World Bank, $25 million, EU, 14 million euros, African Development Bank, $7 million, Agence Française de Développement, 5 million euros.
The largest allocation of the expenditure budget is to education, and the combined allocation to the sector, both the basic and higher education, comprises more than 15% of the expenditure budget. The infrastructure sector attracts the second largest share of the budget, whilst health and agriculture follow closely. Overall, debt serviced, interest payments plus foreign amortization is projected to reach $7.49 billion in 2024. Minister Keita explains that the increase in the debt service for 2024 is as a result of the large increase in interest payments due to increase in the Monetary Policy Committee rate to a high of 17%, which translates to high interest payments on a 30-year bond and other domestic debts, and the anticipated rollover of other government securities. Reporting for QTV News, I am Aliou Cisse.
Now, the OIC Secretariat today gave an update on the reasons for the postponement of the OIC Summit from December 2023 to May 2024. The update also covered other matters. Jennifer Sonko has more.
This decision to postpone follows an official visit by President Adama Barrow to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, to which he was accompanied by some ministers and personnel from the OIC Secretariat. While in Saudi Arabia, consultations were held on the hosting of the OIC Summit, which was supposed to take place in the Gambia in December 2023 and now moved to May 2024. According to the CEO of the OIC Secretariat, Yankuba Diba, the Israel and Palestine conflict and accommodation challenges due to the tourism season in December are part of the reasons for the postponement of the summit.
The issue of the postponement was something that had been discussed, strategized, and of course, the Palestinian issue came in to even compound the need for this postponement. They agreed that the Palestinian issue is so urgent, and as the chair of the current OIC, Saudi Arabia is at liberty to call, or any member state can actually call on members for an extraordinary summit. Accommodation has been one of the key reasons why we sought a postponement. As you are aware, Gambia is a tourist destination, and the season has just started, and the season peaks around the time that the summit was slated, which was in December.
President Adama Barrow laid the foundation stone for the $5 billion OIC five-star hotel last year for the OIC Summit. The major project was contracted to Imolan Sal Construction Company, a Senegalese construction company, and completion was expected by 18 to 20 months of that date. What is the plan for the accommodation following this project's failure?
Given the nature of residences or accommodation that heads of state require, it is still a big challenge, but we think, and that relates very much to the five-star. The five-star would have solved all our problems, the Radisson Blu, but it's way, way back in terms of progress, although it's still being implemented, but there is no way that we can rely on the five-star finishing even in the next 12 months. So this is why, as a secretariat, we have come up with a plan B. And this plan B is a multi-stakeholder plan being supervised and implemented in collaboration with our accommodations committee and also the Gambia Hotels Association.
Since the completion of some of the parts of the Airport Junction and Battle Haddon Highway roads, there has been reportedly increasing road accidents. What is the OIC Secretariat's stance on this menace?
It is still work in progress, and you must also admit that working within densely populated areas is not easy. And currently we're having a challenge because speed limits have not been observed by most motorists. And because the roads are yet to be completed, the road furniture and all the signs and everything are yet to come. And I must assure you also that we are working relentlessly with all the road safety agencies. In fact, I mean, we are a member of what is called the Road Safety Committee.
There are allegations of mismanagement of funds in the construction of the perimeter wall at the OIC Center, which is costed at $64 million. Here is CEO Diba's reaction.
The figures are based on going market rates. You know, it was negotiated with the Chinese. It was spearheaded by a team of engineers from the Ministry of Works. Of course, the Secretariat is part because we are the ones paying for it. But we have no clue, you know, what a square meter of concrete will cost and so on and so forth. So, in a nutshell, this project went through thorough discussions, review, planning, assessment, and that's how it is going. And we are paying based on the revenue that we are raising here.
The OIC Secretariat was established in 2018 to mobilize resources for the coordination and implementation of all programs and projects needed for the successful hosting of the OIC Heads of State Summit in the Gambia. So far, the Secretariat has facilitated the building of the Sir Dawda Kairaba Jawara International Conference Center, the VVIP Lounge at the Banjul International Airport, and the ongoing construction of roads. It has also facilitated capacity building targeting various stakeholders. Reporting for QTV News, I am Jennifer Sonko.
Now, the chairperson of the National Human Rights Commission, Emmanuel Daniel Diouf, Thursday revealed that the Commission will place more emphasis on new emerging rights issues and the protection of rights in the Gambia in the next 2 years. He was speaking at a roundtable donor conference for the Commission. More in this report. This donor partners and stakeholder convergence is aimed at galvanizing more support for the Commission as it seeks to implement its strategic plan for the next 2 years. It also presents an opportunity for the Commission to make a case for more support by highlighting its achievements in promoting and protecting human rights and how to address human rights challenges in the Gambia. Emmanuel Daniel Diouf, chairperson of the NHRC, highlights the Commission's achievements, especially in providing oversight and monitoring of the implementations of the Truth Commission's recommendations. He stressed the need to ensure equitable justice for all and called for more support, especially from partners.
The Commission conducts research and produces numerous advisory notes and guidelines to assist the government in formulating appropriate policies to guarantee human rights and also encourage the government to review draft legislation which may affect human rights and to also ratify international human rights instruments and to domesticate them.
Mosibudi Rampedi, DFAO country representative, and Sharon L. Cromer, the U.S. ambassador to the Gambia, who also doubles as co-chairperson of the Development Partners Group, acknowledged government's efforts in protecting and promoting human rights, citing the establishment of the NHRC as a testament to their commitment. They also reiterated support for the NHRC and the country's human rights endeavors.
It is important that the Gambia has a functioning, independent Human Rights Commission that can guide the government's efforts in promoting and protecting human rights.
The U.S. government will continue to find ways to support the NHRC. I have absolutely no doubt that the members of the Development Partner Group will continue to support the NHRC.
Solicitor General Hussein Tomasi and the Minister of Defense, Sering Modunjai, also underscored government's efforts aimed at strengthening human rights in the country and revealed that already mobilization of funds for the implementation of a national strategic plan to address human rights issues has commenced. And as they reiterate government's commitment to the NHRC, they also called on partners to offer more support to the Commission.
We are extremely delighted as a government that within a very short period of time, the National Human Rights Commission has been able to obtain an A accredited status. The Gambia is among, I believe, 10 out of 15 African countries that have acquired this status.
It is realized that a total sum of $7.9 million United States dollars is to be mobilized for the effective implementation of the said plan. Government thus far has contributed $1.9 million towards this course of action, and more than 60% will be required in the next 2.5 years for the effective implementation of the strategic plan.
It is hoped that this convergence with donor partners will present a strong case for more support as the Commission seeks to implement its 2024-2025 strategic plan. Ansumana Sonyase for QTV News. And from that report, we will go for a commercial break, but the news continues when we return.
Njaay mi fi faral di am delu ci waat na sa Independence Stadium di Gambia Youth Chamber of Commerce ñoo am lëkkaloo ak di Gambia Women Chamber of Commerce dikkati neen ci juróomi pàcc bu jigéen ñi ak ndawi réew mi ñuy yëngu ci fàggu koom-koom mbay muy agro business ak tourism trade fair ci atum ren bi ndajeem jënd ak jaay mi mu ngi yokk ak di fulandil ay jumtukaay yu xarañ tukkee si ay ndaw ak jigéen yu màcc ci baana fii si réewu Gambia dinañ fa dalal ay baana yu xarañ jógee sa Afrique saw jent ngir suqali nangute bi mootaay réewu Afrique fas ngir jëriñ seen doomi réew tukkee si jënd ak jaay dinañ fa am ay yëngu-yëngu yu bégle te am solo lu si mel ni jongante xarañteef màggal bési jigéen ñi ak ndaw ñi woy ak feeñal aada ak cosaan ak yeneen xeetu xew-xew yu neex yu kawe seen njott gaaw leen bindu ngir taxawal palaasu njaay di tàmbale benn fan jëm ba si 2 fukki fan ak juróom si décembre dégg ngeen ma de si diiru 2 fukki fan ak juróom ngir sabablu jënd jaay nangute ak lëkkaloo tukkee si wàllu baana di xewee sa bërëbu Independence Stadium sa Bakaw pour am si ay bataaxal yu leer wooteel 368 5556 368 5556 203 1080 203 1080 wala 5200045 5200045 ñu tasee Trade Fair.
The future is now with QCell's 5G network. Experience speeds like never before with our new 5G Rocket Fixed Internet plan. Get speeds from 10 Mbps to 100 Mbps. Your 5G-enabled devices. Walk into QCell headquarters to get one of our 5G routers and experience the true feeling of 5G. Only with QCell. QCell brings you the future. Tech, innovation, incredible speed. The future is now. For more information, call our customer care on 111. QCell, Sunyabus. We innovate, others follow. Terms and conditions apply.
And thanks for staying with us. If you're just joining us, be reminded you're watching QTV 90 News coming to you from our studios on Kairaba Avenue, and I am Ansumana Isonyasi. Now, World Prematurity Day was commemorated on Friday by the Department of Pediatrics and Child Health at Edward Francis Moore Teaching Hospital in Banjul. Lolem Kamara tells us more.
World Prematurity Day, observed on 17th November each year, aim to increase awareness globally about the issues of preterm birth, preterm survival, and optimal development of preterm babies to reach their potential. According to health experts, each year, about 1 in 10 babies is born prematurely. Also, prematurity accounts for a high burden of under 5 morbidity and mortality, causing about 1 million deaths globally every year. Professor Augusta Eni, a consultant neonatologist at the EFSTH, elaborates.
They are special, they have special needs. So this year's theme is small effort, big impact. Small action that you take, big impact. And that is kangaroo mother care for every newborn baby, everywhere. So it means it can be practiced everywhere. It's cost effective. You don't need to buy anything. It's just the mother's wrapper. The mother, the wrapper. Although it's called kangaroo mother care, any other person can. It doesn't have to be just the mother. Any member of the father can practice it. Grandmother can practice it for the woman.
Sarah Barry, who gave birth to her twins prematurely, spoke on behalf of the families of preterm babies. My twins were born prematurely, and now they are 5 years old. We were taught so many important things about how to care for these babies. The global theme for this year's World Prematurity Day is Small Actions, Big Impact, and immediate skin-to-skin care for every baby everywhere. Here is Professor Augusta Eni again on the importance and significance of the theme.
So these babies should be put immediately after birth on the mother's chest, skin to skin, not on the cloth. So the mother is bare chest, the baby is bare chest, except for the diaper and the cap and maybe socks, then ties the baby to the mother's chest. So she is just there, is being protected. The baby can now feed because the breast milk, the breast is there. The baby can just turn the neck to one side and it doesn't need to come out to feed. So feeding is very important, which is exclusive breastfeeding. With all, we know all the benefits of exclusive breastfeeding.
Dr. Lamin Makalo, Senior Registrar at the EFSTH, spoke about the need for more sensitization to help prevent preterm births.
If 29% of your babies are born preterm, that is that country is still need to do more. So that's why we are here to sensitize the public about it. So I would like to thank the CMD, the deputy CMD, the HOD pediatrics, the head of unit and his team for organizing something like this.
World Prematurity Day is an important moment to shift global attention onto the leading cause of child deaths from preterm birth. Without global efforts to reduce these deaths, countries might not reach the global goals endorsed by 193 countries to end all preventable newborn and child deaths by 2030. For QTV News, Lolly M. Camera.
Now, a two-day capacity building training for journalists organized by UNFPA to raise public awareness targeting community radio stations and community health workers on gender-based violence and female genital mutilation finished on Friday at a local hotel in Kololi. Alusise again.
Crimes of gender-based violence and FGM in the Gambia remain largely unreported or underreported, therefore leading perpetrators to get away with their unlawful acts. On the other hand, most of the reported cases in the media result in victims being ridiculed and shamed, as evidenced by the reactions to the sexual and gender-based violence testimonies at the TRRC hearings. Therefore, this training seeks to provide participants with the requisite knowledge to report on GBV and FGM cases to ensure that media coverage of such violations do not become another factor deterring victims from reporting, but rather encourage them to come forward. Sanjali Trawale, Deputy Director of Health Promotion and Education, Ministry of Health, says the issue of gender-based violence and FGM are a societal menace that requires a united force to fight against it. He emphasizes that there is nothing that can justify any act of gender-based violence and FGM, be it at homes or workplaces.
The approach we are taking now, if we engage our society, our community, we can collectively do great effort. And I believe we can collectively achieve something. So it's important that we convene this kind of meeting, and from here, once training is conducted, all what we discuss, we engage our communities, our society, so that they have adequate knowledge, adequate information. I know it's difficult to have data on gender-based violence, including FGM. But with engagement with our communities and society, I think we can do a lot.
It is hoped that the outcomes of the training will increase public awareness of UNFPA's work on GBV, including child marriage and FGM. Yusufa Bojang, president of the Network of Community Radios, the Gambia, is hopeful that the training will change how the media perceives victims and report abuses, citing circumstances when the media and public attention is needlessly focused on the conduct of the victim. He urged the participants to use the knowledge to make an impact in their communities.
It's very important for us to reorient members of our communities, that's the community health workers and members of the network of community radios or community radio broadcasters, to refresh their memories into some activities that they normally do when they're conducting their radio programs. We understand that all community radios have health programs, health talk shows, and of course, community hours dedicated to the community. And indeed, you have been there in the forefront, enlightening the communities about issues related to gender-based violence, more especially FGM.
While it remains to be seen how this training will impact on the daily media coverage by the community radios, the efforts to end GBV and FGM will be difficult to attend without government taking up its duty to ensure reported cases are effectively and thoroughly investigated. And where cases are established, perpetrators are prosecuted to provide closure for victims. Fatmata Cham, Program Analyst, Communications, UNFPA, said similar training will be organized for news editors and journalists and social media influencers next week. Reporting for QTV News, I am Alu Sise.
And from the report there by Alu Sise, now on to sports news. A Gambian cyclist Usman Jane has lamented the difficulties cyclists in the country face, which prevent them from competing in sub-regional events. Our sports reporter Mood Gajaga caught up with the cycling team during a training session, and this is his report.
These cyclists are devoted to riding their bikes every weekend, covering huge distances. Despite their enthusiasm for the sport, they admitted that taking part in competitions is difficult because there isn't many events organized in the Gambia. According to them, the only international competition they participate in is held in Senegal. They have missed out on numerous big competitions due to lack of proper racing bikes and funding. Usman Jane spoke on behalf of his teammates.
Wala mun na main problem ti because ne ajibe na last championship oning kabra botawla championship man na keno kotake.
We haven't had a competition in a long time due to lack of funding. Our organization makes every effort, but it's been difficult. They are still attempting to resurrect the national championship, but to no success. Senegal is our only external competitor. Even in that tournament, we lost because our bikes are not up to the standard of our competitors. We get invitations from the sub-region for competitions in countries like Burkina Faso, Mali, and Guinea. These bikers trained by riding long distances in a group every Sunday, but they also train independently to prepare for upcoming contests. According to Usman Jane, they sometimes traversed more than 100 kilometers during training, especially when preparing for international competitions, which seldom materialize.
Any competition
we do regular training to prepare for competitions because we don't want to participate unprepared. We often train on Saturdays and Sundays, but on Sunday we are more consistent. The least distance we cover in our Sunday training is 75 kilometers. Sometimes we go up to the Fonies and cover a distance of up to 100 kilometers or more. With the challenges they face, Usman is calling for support from the government and the private sector so that they can achieve their dreams of competing in many international competitions. Mamadou Gajaga, QTV News.
And I'm afraid that's all about it for this bulletin. To join us tomorrow, same time for more news. Until then, on behalf of the entire production team, thanks for watching. Have a good night.